Hello and welcome to Roaming Norway. You might have noticed that I released a video on the new Model Y and then I had to take it down. That's why it's no longer available on this channel or my Norwegian channel. There are different reasons to why I needed to take it down, but I'm not going to discuss that in this video. But I wanted to mention that there will be a ton of content on the new Model Y in the future, and also I will be one of the first ones in Norway to test drive the new Model Y, so if you are interested in that, make sure to subscribe. In this video though, I'm going to talk about the BYD Blade Model Y. It's a car that I've talked about a ton on this channel. I made so many videos on the BYD Blade Model Y, and just to recap for those that don't know yet, the BYD Blade Model Y is a very special Model Y that was available from the Giga Berlin factory. If you had a rear-wheel drive with the shortest range, only the rear-wheel drive with the shortest range, sometimes the Giga Berlin factory actually put LFP batteries from BYD in these cars. Some are with the CATL batteries, which we have seen Tesla use before, which are also LFP, but they are worse than the BYD LFP. It's kind of confusing because Tesla has so many different batteries now. Anyways, the BYD Blade Model Y and the CATL LFP battery model is now discontinued in Europe. You can no longer buy the BYD Blade Model Y. And this is of course in conjunction with the release of the new car, the new Model Y, which is now available in Europe as a launch series, and it'll be available as all-wheel drive or long-range all-wheel drive very, very soon is my guess. Maybe March, maybe April. That's just my wild guess. Anyways, that's available alongside the long-range rear-wheel drive of the old type, the all-wheel drive long range of the old type, and the performance of the old type of Model Y. So there are 4 Model Ys available in Europe. In Norway, we still have the BYD Blade or the CATL LFP, the shortest range Model Y with the LFP battery available, but I assume it'll be gone very, very soon. So if you're interested in an old Model Y with the BYD Blade battery, you can watch my videos on how to decode the VIN or the vehicle identification number to make sure that you get the BYD Blade Model Y. If you want the BYD Blade Model Y in Norway, where it's supposedly still available on their websites, I assume it'll be gone very, very soon, you can use my referral link, tesla.roamingnorway.com, or anyone else's referral link. Just use someone's, because there is still a discount on the old Model Y with a referral link. Where did this BYD Blade Model Y start? Well, in 2022, I was actually driving down in Europe, and that's just a side note to the story, but I was driving down in Europe, and I didn't start this channel yet, but I was very interested in electric cars, and I had my Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive made in China. So I was always up to date with Tesla news. And then I saw a piece in teslamag.de, which is a German Tesla newspaper. And they talked about BYD Blade in the Model Ys. And there were just some rumors. I think they spotted some boxes from BYD, which is the Chinese battery manufacturer. And there was also talk about structural batteries and a lot of updates for the Model Y at the Giga Berlin factory. But really, the Giga Berlin factory had just started production of the Model Y just a year before, I think, or just some months before this. So it took quite a while. And a year after this, in 2023, the spring 2023, I was also down in Europe, actually. And I saw someone post a charging video of this new BYD Blade Model Y, so it was clear that it has started shipping in Europe. And we saw much better charging than the old LFP car. People said that I was lying when this car charged at 170 plus kilowatts at 75%. So let's just try to plug it in. This is a V3 supercharger. 72% state of charge. ...172 kilowatts at 72%. The CATL battery. It held 175 plus kilowatts for way longer, and you can start it at any percentage. You could start at 60% and get 175 kilowatts. And you might say, okay, that doesn't sound that impressive compared to other cars these days, and I agree, it's not like groundbreaking charging, it's just the best charging Tesla in my opinion. And the Model Y has a 60 kilowatt hour battery, and when you have a 60 kilowatt hour battery, which is a small battery in an electric car, at least medium, small, yeah, it's small, it's 60 kilowatt hour is a small battery. When you have a small battery, it's more impressive with higher charging rates, of course, because of C rate. If it has a C rate of 1, it can recharge itself in 1 hour, which means that a 60 kilowatt hour battery would need a 60 kilowatt hour average charging speed. But this BYD Blade battery has a much higher C rate, and it's just a fantastic charging battery. And a year after that, I think, my mom actually bought a BYD Blade Model Y, and I have tons of videos on this channel. I actually take it from the delivery center here in Western Norway on the day of delivery and drive it across the mountains. Keep in mind that this is a rear-wheel drive car, all the way to Oslo, 8-hour trip to deliver the car. And I have everything documented on this channel. And I was so impressed by the charging. I just stopped some place, I think I had 30% charge left, but it just jumped up to 178 kilowatts and just held it flat. And not only that, it didn't need much preconditioning at all. It doesn't need any preconditioning in most cases, and that's absolutely insane for a LFP battery. If you don't know LFP batteries are less energy dense, they are harder to heat up, and they charge slow when it's cold outside. So, for example, in this car, which is a LFP car as well, which uses the old CATL battery, which is the classic LFP battery that Tesla has used, and the only LFP battery Tesla has used in their Model 3 cars, which is the reason I have this battery, because of course the BYD Blade is better, but this was the only one available for an LFP Model 3. After testing multiple winter floor liners, these are the absolute easiest to keep clean. Go to joa.roamingnorway.com for a 5% discount on Joa products, including these great all-weather floor liners. So, this LFP battery is so hard to heat up, and honestly, in cold weather, if you don't have home charging, this car is borderline, it's not unusable, it's just super annoying to use. It needs so much heating to get up to charging speed, and that's fine on road trips, because on road trips you always have multiple hours to heat up the battery before reaching the fast charger, so I can just plug into my destination and it'll heat the battery and I'll get the expected charge rate. But even the preconditioned charge rate of this battery is considerably worse than the BYD Blade battery. So this car has a 170 kilowatt max as well, as that's the same as the BYD Blade, but it'll only get that at around 10%, and yeah, when you plug in at 30%, you are looking at 140 kilowatts, 150 maximum, and then it just drops off. And it's faster up top than the long-range batteries, but it's not near the charge rate of the BYD Blade Model Y. The BYD Blade Model Y has an awesome 0 to 100% charging speed on DC fast charging. So I was super impressed with this battery. And then, of course, my mom used the car. I used the car for a considerable amount of time, and actually got to learn this BYD Blade battery, what's going on, when it's how it's heating up, and we found that it's actually heating up pretty fast when needed, and it actually doesn't really matter if you charge on version 2 or version 3 superchargers, because when you have a lower power, like you have on the version 2 superchargers, like 145 kilowatts, about about 145 kilowatts, it'll have a flatter curve. It doesn't overheat immediately. So when you plug into a version 3, it'll go up to 175 kilowatts, around there, depending on voltage. And it'll just hold it until it overheats and then drops off. But I did a charging rate 10 to 80%, and the difference were just there were absolutely no difference, almost just a few seconds between version 2 and version 3 superchargers for the BYD Blade Model Y. If you do shorter stops than 10 to 80%, we found that of course you will want to use the version 3 superchargers. And you also want to use the version 3 superchargers anyways, because there is less chance of splitting power at version 3 sites. Anyways, awesome charging vehicle. Now, I'm going to talk about other benefits than the awesome charging of this battery. And of course the price. It was really cheap compared to the other Model Ys. That has changed a little bit now, and many people just recommend going for the long range and especially the all-wheel drive in Europe. But of course that's dependent on personal preference, the drivetrain and the pricing and stuff like that. But from my calculations, there are many scenarios where the BYD Blade Model Y will be faster on a road trip than a long-range Model Y. The long-range Model Y has an LG battery that charges at 250 kilowatts, and that sounds better to you because you read the marketing materials. But the truth is that the peak charging doesn't matter, it's the curve that matters. And 250 kilowatts, you can only hold that for less than a minute, I think, on the LG packs before it drops off and just crumbles, and after 50% you get like 70 kilowatts sometimes, which sucks. So that means at 50% you get like 70 kilowatts, where the BYD Blade maybe is at 150 kilowatts still. So double the charging speed. Of course, that depends on the starting state of charge, and there are so many variables. That's why I can't say, oh, it's faster on a road trip, because there are scenarios where it's not faster. For example, if there are no charging stops, because the initial range is less. Anyways, charging is amazing, but you also got the full sound system in the cheapest Model Y, so it had an awesome sound system for the price. Absolutely amazing. So that was really great, and you got the rest of the premium interior features like the floor mats and stuff like that. It was well screwed together. It had a new comfort suspension, which is still harsh, but less, yeah, better than the old one, and it just felt great to drive. Rear-wheel drive, of course, so that's a downside, of course, of the car. Compared to all-wheel drive, which gives you better traction up hills, mainly. Anyways, the steering of the BYD Blade Model Y and the other LFP Model Y and all rear-wheel drive Tesla Model Ys until the refresh has been very heavy. So that's a downside of the car as well. Heavy steering. One of the heaviest steerings I've felt in a modern car. It kind of feels like you don't have like a servo, or power steering, it's called in English. So let's talk about the future. First, I'll talk about the future of our Model Y BYD, or BYD Blade Model Y. Then I'll talk about the future of BYD Blade Model Ys or LFP Teslas. So, our BYD Blade Model Y will stay in our family. Like I mentioned many times, my mom buys a car and then drives it until it's scrapped. So the BYD Blade Model Y will be abused, and I'll be able to have a ton of data on this channel on the BYD Blade Model Y, which is a great to have to compare to other batteries that Tesla probably will release in the future. So that's the deal with the BYD Blade Model Y that we have. We will keep it. I'll keep posting data, 1 year update, 2 year update, and yeah, how it holds up in terms of degradation. And I will mention it here just as a teaser for future videos on the BYD Blade Model Y. But the degradation has been for the first year 2.6% degradation, which is great because it's charged to 100% daily, and it's cycled up top, which is something that you're not supposed to do with LFP cars, but I did. So Yeah, that's our BYD Blade Model Y that stays in our family. For the future, I think Tesla will still continue with LFP in Europe because there are less restrictions and tariffs on Chinese batteries. In the US, Tesla has discontinued all LFP cars because all LFP batteries in the world are made in China, basically. There are some made other places, but basically all are made in China. BYD Blade, the CATL, and everything Tesla uses is made in China. I think that in the future we will still see LFP batteries in Europe, but I'm not sure if they will continue to use BYD. Maybe the BYD Blade batteries are expensive for Tesla to buy. Of course, they cost more than making batteries themselves, which they do to some degree. They actually buy a ton of batteries, Tesla. Anyways, they have now reached a new deal with CATL for a new battery from CATL, and I really hope that that's better. It's a little bit larger, and it'll also be put in the Tesla Model 3. That's the only announcement from like approval papers in the European Union that the new Model 3, this Model 3 will get the new CATL battery. So I hope that's much better than the old CATL battery. But I think we might also see this battery or a similar battery in the Model Y as well, not just the Model 3. Can this compete with the BYD Blade Model Y? I'm curious what you think. Leave a comment down below if you think this new CATL battery, which is called 6M, I think. I think the ones in this car is called 6L, but don't quote me on that. Do you think Tesla will continue with LFPs in Europe? Do you think the new Model Y, which was recently revealed, will be announced as a rear-wheel drive version with the long-range battery first, or with an LFP battery first? And then we together need to figure out which battery they put in this car, because Tesla doesn't announce this. This is just hidden knowledge everywhere. You look at vehicle identification numbers, I look at charge curves, and try to analyze what kind of battery they have in the car. And I want to add, just as an ending to this video, how I have analyzed the BYD Blade Model Y battery. So, in Norway, some motor journalists took the rear-wheel drive Tesla Model Y for testing, because they wanted to test if rear-wheel drive was suitable for Norwegian conditions. And they also mentioned that this car had an LFP battery. So they took it up into the mountains. It was built at the Giga Berlin factory, by the way. That's an important note. And they charged it, and they said it was cold gating, which means that it's using all the energy to heat the battery instead of charging the battery, or it's not able to charge the battery because of dangers of lithium plating. So it had very slow charging rate. And I was curious because I thought they had the BYD Blade Model Y, because most rear-wheel drives from Giga Berlin actually is the BYD Blade Model Y, it seems. No data on that. It just seems like it. And I looked up the vehicle identification number of this, because you can do that in Norway with the plate number. You can look up the vehicle identification number. And I see that it had the CATL battery. So that confirmed my thoughts on the vehicle identification number, that this is the cold gating, the worse battery. And then I looked up the vehicle identification number, of course, of the cars I've tested. I've tested 3 different BYD Blade Model Ys. A white one, which we bought, a quicksilver one over a year ago, and a blue one as well on this channel for the version 2 versus version 3 supercharging video that I did on this channel. Check that out if you are interested. And all of them had like the E in the vehicle identification number, which identified the BYD Blade Model Y. Thank you so much for watching this video and my thoughts and the discontinuation of the BYD Blade Model Y, and maybe a little look into the future of what Tesla thinks of their batteries. And I really hope that Tesla can improve their batteries, because they have been lacking on battery chemistry lately. They have been lacking on LFP technology. You can see that the Chinese companies are charging at like 400 plus kilowatts now on their LFP batteries. Tesla doesn't have access to those. They don't have access to the LFP technology, it seems, and their own batteries which are not LFP as well, like the NMC batteries, the 4680 batteries, the 2170 batteries, which are installed in almost all cars in Europe that we buy, are worse than the competitors. So I really hope that Tesla can do something, or just buy someone's better batteries from China, because they are better and we want the better products. Thank you so much for watching Roaming Norway. If you want a neck pillow like this one, visit joa.roamingnorway.com. This one is super comfortable, and you can just remove the layer here and throw it in the washing machine to wash it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in another video very soon.